very first CD that I ever bought in 1986. And that was it. And I've still got it. And I still love it. So, used to sit in the middle of my house in Houston, crank the stereo up, and literally just close my eyes. Yeah,
You owned
Come
out.
on in.
You owned out.
How is everybody? I did what?
You owned
I
out.
ohmed out. Yes. All right. Hey, new February newsletter. That's awesome. Thank you, Mary Lou, and thank you, Janice. Look at that. There's an article on the back by Janice Lynch. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
So, anything? Oh, battery recycling. We are going to start battery recycling. No, not big 12 volt, but recyclable little batteries. So bring them in for the month of February, and we'll recycle them. Yeah, they
There
charge.
may be a fee for that.
They charge now to do that, but I know. But hey, it's still. I'm sorry, it's our little piece of helping out by doing stuff like that.
They still give them if you're building the city of Richland. You can do it at the. Used to be able to do it at the landfill for free.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still can.
I don't know about there.
But you can paint and all everything else.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get more.
And wisdom has been chasing you. You've always been too faster though. All right. And I was going to read this the first of the month, and I somehow got buried. This was, who did this? This was Sarah Rodriguez. And apparently she did this. So welcome to Flight 2024. We are prepared to take off on the new year. Please make sure your attitude and blessings are secured and locked in an upright position. All self-destructive devices should be turned off at this time. All negativity, hurt, and discouragement should be put away. Should we lose altitude under pressure during the flight, reach up and pull down a prayer. Prayers will automatically be activated by faith. Once your faith is activated, you can assist other passengers. There will be no baggage allowed on this flight. The captain, God, has cleared us for takeoff. Destination, greatness. Happy New Year. Cool. And we do have a couple patron saints by the name of John Lennon and George Carlin.
Hey, George and John. I got to get you some new stickies.
Yes, you do.
Your stickies are unsticky.
And John said, John said, my role in society, or any artist's or poet's role, is to try and express what we all feel. Not to tell people how to feel, not as a preacher, not as a leader, but as a reflection of all of us. Thank you, John. And George, the future will soon be a thing of the past. Go figure.
All we have is now.
All right. And I know you've been waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, I'm praying. I think I'm going to hide that book once he's...
What to do with fruitcakes. Fruitcake slices make exceptional mounting boards for bug and butterfly specimens. No need to pin those delicate wings. When we were kids, I didn't have a butterfly collection, but my buddy, we lived over in Seattle, little kids, he had the most unbelievable butterfly collection. Oh my gosh.
I couldn't do it.
Well, I couldn't either. I watched him do it once in a while. That's why I don't have any.
Yeah.
Because yes?
The traditional wedding cake is actually fruit cake in the United Kingdom and Australia.
Wedding cake is fruitcake.
I'm not sure
in
what
the
to
United
say.
Kingdom and Australia.
Wow. Now there's
Sorry,
a piece of information.
there's a way to start you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, to all of our listeners in those countries, because I know we have some, I'm sorry that I've been doing this to your fruitcake. Your wedding cake, yes.
He's not sorry. They might just do it better than we do.
They might.
Little rum for the cake, a little rum for me.
Where'd I go?
I don't know, where are you?
I'll just do this because I don't remember.
Well, you want to do something while you're looking?
Nope, I got it.
Okay.
The shortest and best way to make your fortune is to let people see clearly that it is in their best interest to promote yours. I like that one. In the fields of observation, chance favors only the prepared mind. And, by the way, that was Louis Pasteur. So, candor and generosity, unless tempered by due moderation, lead to ruin.
Ooh, true.
So, I know. And that was Cornelius Tacitus, 56 BC. So, smart people back then.
Many moons ago.
Yeah.
Many moons ago.
Many moons. Okay. And some of you may have known this. In the film Raiders of the Lost Ark, remember when he fell into that pit of vipers? If you look on the back wall's hieroglyphics, there is a C-3PO and an R2-D2 robot on the wall. And if you don't know Star Wars, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I was too busy focused on the vipers.
Yeah, I know. Well, so was everybody else. So was he. And I have to tell you in advance, these really are terrible jokes.
Here we go.
They're really bad. I mean, like almost embarrassed to tell them, but I'll do it anyway. What kind of elephant live at the North Pole? Elephant. Told you it was stupid. Gets worse. What do you get when you cross an elephant with peanut butter? An elephant that sticks to the roof of your mouth. Why are elephants large, gray, and wrinkled? If they were small, round, and white, they'd be aspirin. Yeah, she's looking like I'm feeling. So why can't you take an elephant to school? Won't fit in your backpack. Go figure.
I might hide that book too.
You got to get me another one to replace it.
Please, someone, find a joke book.
Happiness is the only good. The place to be happy is here. The time to be happy is now.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Because we're happy.
I'll try to scroll through some of these so maybe we can.
How do you catch a squirrel? How do you make it teach you dance? How do you organize an hours? Why are elevator jokes so good? They work on so many levels.
Okay, I think the next one's new.
I asked the librarian if she had any books on paranoia. She whispered, "They're right behind you." I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes. She hugged me.
Saw that one coming.
They're actually good. I wish they wouldn't start over every single time. It says it's 3,000 jokes.
Really?
Either you listen to them all at the same time, or you do it once and never do it again. Kites were used in the American Civil War to deliver letters and newspapers. I could ask Roy if that's true, but I assumed it is. So. No, Roy's not that old. Good point. No, Roy likes the Civil War. He's done lots of reenactments and so research and stuff. The song "Old Lang Syne" is sung at the stroke of midnight in almost every English-speaking country in the world to bring in the new year. Drinking water after eating reduces the acid in your mouth by 61%. I knew that one, actually. Peanut oil is used for cooking on submarines. Do we have any submariners? I don't think we do, but on submarines, because it doesn't smoke unless it's heated above 450 degrees. Sounds good. And that's probably true, isn't it, Daryl?
Yes.
I mean, because you used to do it.
I use peanut oil just for that reason.
I know. So, yeah. Daryl used to roast our big chickens and turkeys and everything we did for Thanksgiving and sometimes for our picnic that we haven't done in a few years either. So, I think I'm done.
Okay, so here's some new stuff. I sent around a sign-up sheet. This was only for readers and healers so that I could remind them, I could get this sheet of paper and call them and remind them when our practice is. If you want to sign up for anything else having to do with Expo, see Mary Lou in the back. This does not sign you up for anything. It's not valid. You need to see Mary Lou in the back, and we really, really, really need you to volunteer because it's just a volunteer thing, and if we don't have volunteers, it ain't happening. Well, it'll happen, but it'll be
And
grim.
most people that come to our show, they frequently will come really just for the readers from the church. So it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
It's a big thing.
I'll have the link to the sign up if you are not here. I'll have the link to the sign up on the church email that I send out. I send one out every Sunday after services. Send a link to the video we just had, and I will include the link for the sign up. If you have not given me your email so that I can make sure you get that, you're welcome to do that. That's the only thing that email address is used for, is for the weekly email. So if you're interested and feel up to doing that, please let me have your email.
We had a real issue last year with volunteers. It was a tough expo.
About killed me.
Lots of people were doing double and triple duties. People that had no idea who we were helping out.
Just grabbed and,
like, oh my
here,
God.
stand here, do this.
I remember Kelly came in the doors. Hadn't seen her forever. Kelly, how you doing? Could you sit here for about 2 hours? And she did. But man,
Yeah, it was a struggle. But
it was.
anyway, new date this year, so
Yeah.
we should not be in conflict with spring break at all.
First time in 20 years.
Yeah. So that's that. After services this evening, hang around. We're going to do treats for birthdays. So who had a birthday in January? Woohoo! Well, happy birthday, and
Yep.
we get to do treats for you.
And we've got one pie that is it's not sugar free, but it's no added sugar.
No added sugar
So
for diabetics.
Diabetics should be able to be okay with that.
And brownies
and
for
we-
gluten-free people.
Yep, Jan did the brownies for gluten free last night.
Oh God, that was.
Well, it wasn't cool enough before we cut it, so it kind of looks a mess.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Boy, they're good. And the pie, we know it's a good pie because we were going to do this last Sunday, and so we had the pie already, and for the first time in 26 years, church was canceled on that day, so it was
Because
all
of the
online because of the ice,
Iced.
and we had to eat the pie.
So
we had to buy another one.
It was a sacrifice we willingly made for y'all, but we have anyway.
So we know it's okay. We liked it.
The calendar quote for today from the Ancient Ones, January 28th. Can you observe the sunset without having to make it different? That's letting go. So if you liked the calendars, I was posting them every Sunday on Facebook.
For a whole year.
I'm not doing that.
Thank you, Beth.
So Beth manufactured or had these printed. She set them up so they could be printed. And you can buy a whole set. And they're perpetual, so they don't have a year on them. So this just says like January 28th. So January 28th next year, I can have the same thing.
So is there a February 29th?
Yes, there is, and that's only for this year.
And you get to have two for next year. Should I read tomorrow's too? Do we have 29th? Is there 29th tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking about February.
Oh, February.
For leap year.
Jeez, Will, just give me...
Embrace your mistakes.
So we have a guest speaker this morning. Before I introduce her, let's begin with a prayer, shall we? Join me in prayer, would you? Loving Spirit of light, thank you for this sacred church home. Thank you for the time that we get to spend together. Bless us. Help us to awaken to new levels of light and love. Thank you for walking with us. These things we pray in the name of Jesus, the Ascended One. Amen.
Would it be sacrilegious of me to pray for the coffee god? Thank you.
Get out. Okay. So our guest speaker today just retired at the end of last year, so she has some time that she can dedicate to communicating with us some spiritual concepts and spiritual insights. So please give a great Divine Fellowship welcome to Michele Lanigan. Come on up, Michele. Actually, I can make
This
this
is
just.
like a necklace. I was just
Yeah.
thinking I should have worn a scarf.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Oh, and look, I can see myself. Hi, everybody online. I'm usually on that part of the of the church service because I live in Hermiston, so it's a long drive up. And just to give you some background on myself, I know a lot of people know me, but you may not know about me. My name is Michele Lanigan, and I was one of those kids that, as I was growing up, I was always into spiritual stuff, and they called it psychic stuff. And those of us who are old enough, remember they used to call it ESP, extrasensory perception, and astrology and past lives. But I was raised Catholic, so it was always, trying to kind of blend the religion and spirituality. And when I got into college, I even took graduate level classes in the Bible, and I was also taking classes at the Berkeley Psychic Institute. I took their meditation and healing and their teacher program and their clairvoyant program and the 5-year channeling program. So I did that for many years, and somewhere in there I ended up also with a PhD from what was it called? I forget. Where did I get that?
So are you saying you went to Berkeley in the 60s or the early 70s?
That would have been in the 80s. It was after I got out of college.
I was going to bow to you, and I'm not really sure. That was just an interesting time.
Yes. But I got my PhD at the Universal Church Seminary. So I've done a lot of stuff, and so I've got kind of this weird background. But anyway, so that's me in a nutshell, and that's part of why I like this church so much. Is as Janice says, it's Jesus without the religion, and I just love that. And I love reading the Bible, and the things that you could learn from it. Oh, before I forgot, Phil, you got to hear this part. Knock knock joke. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Me. Michele. So anyways, I love reading the Bible and learning about it. And one of the things that came aware of is in the Old Testament there's 613 rules in the Old Testament that people were supposed to follow. And I think God realized maybe this is too much because people were really having a hard time doing that, right? Too many. So he narrowed it down to 10, right? The 10 Commandments. And people were still having a hard time with that. And so he sent Jesus, and Jesus came along, and he gave us one rule, right? And even people who are non-Christians, they call it the golden rule. And find my spot here, in Matthew 28:39, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. And it's actually a commandment. He didn't just say, go do this. There's a lot of things in the Bible where he talks about telling people to do things, but he says, this is a commandment. I command you to love your neighbor as yourself. And in John 13:34, he says, love one another. So we went from 613 rules down to 3 words. And we're still struggling with that. Love one another. And I think it's really hard for us. I think the reason why it's so hard for us to love one another is we have a hard time loving ourselves. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's interesting because, I've been actually looking at this since probably back in November and doing this talk. And since then we've had a number of talks about loving ourselves. Arita did just a couple weeks ago, and Carrie talked about it yesterday in her class, and Janice every once in a while will do something about loving ourselves. And the really cool thing about that is as you hear messages, especially when you're working on a spiritual growth or spiritual step, as you hear different messages, you might hear bits and pieces from one person, or you'll hear something and go, oh yeah, that really resonates for me. But you end up integrating it. And even if it doesn't make sense today, maybe next week or next month or something else will happen. So it's really cool, and I think there's no such thing as coincidence. That, this is kind of something that I've been seeing us talk a lot about in the church recently, and it's kind of a huge growth for us to take that step. So I think part of the reason why it's hard to love ourselves is that word love is not very well defined in our culture. I mean, just think of all the things that we love. Okay, we love chocolate, we love kittens, we love sunsets, Seahawks, chocolate, sunrises, kids, motorcycles, chocolate, our dogs, our family, our friends, chocolate, Janice and Phil, favorite movies, musicians, actors, and of course, yay! So I kind of look at it and see that there are two kinds of love. So we have this kind of bucket of things that we love that we have evaluated them. Like our favorite movies or our favorite movie stars or our clothes or food or whatever. I mean, if you were to go out to dinner, I would say, how was your dinner? And then you would say, oh, it was great. And then you would tell me why. Because you've made an assessment of it and you've evaluated it. And you said, these are the things I like about it. If you were to go to a movie, how did you like it? Oh, I loved it. Best movie ever. Why? Why did you like that movie? And then you evaluate it and tell me what you think about it. So we have this whole bucket, well, except for chocolate. Chocolate, that goes in the unconditional love bucket. That's the other bucket. But so we have all these things that we have conditional love for. There's a reason why we love them. We evaluate them. And then the unconditional love, that's where we have things that are really special in our heart. Like our kids. Our kids for sure are in the unconditional love bucket. Our family, our pets, the things that are in our life that really matter, and the love that we feel for them, they don't have to do anything. They're just there. And I think it's kind of funny that, we could put our dog in that bucket, but we can't put ourselves in that bucket of unconditional love. And think of ourselves with unconditional love, like we do our kids or our family or our dog. And I do love my dogs unconditionally. I think most people do. They make a mess and we still love them. And I think part of the reason why, with kids especially, and I'm assuming most people have been around when a newborn baby. And just that feeling of divinity. This was a spirit that at one moment was up here, floating around, and then all of a sudden it made that transition to having a body. And we talk a lot about when people transition when they pass on, but when a baby is born, just how special is that? I mean, what a miracle when a baby is born and they come in and you can feel that. Everybody can feel it, and you get excited. I mean, yes, the parents and grandparents go crazy, but everybody does. And I don't know, I'm assuming that people, like if you're at work, you ever had somebody and they leave and they go on maternity leave and they come in to bring the baby, and just everyone wants to hold that and they want to be around that energy because they're still in that space of divinity. They're in that kind of godlike or spiritual space, and they're bringing that in. And then as we get older, when we were all like that when we were born, people thought about us, believe it or not. Somebody that, when you were born, thought about you like that. And then as we get older, you start, okay, is he or she on schedule with her height and weight? Are they learning to read? Are they doing this? And they go to school, and then they have peers. And then, oh gosh, peer pressure is probably the worst because, boy, if you're going to be evaluated about who you are, hang out with a bunch of teenagers. So one of the things that is really cool about this church is it's set in that vibration of divinity. And, it's called the Divine Fellowship. It's not the I'm okay, you're okay fellowship. It's the Divine Fellowship. When you walk in, we love you. Right, Janice? And you don't have to do anything or be any special way. We don't hand you a clipboard and fill out a questionnaire and let's see, we'll give you a score. We love you. It's unconditional love because we recognize your divinity in this church. So at one place, at one time in your past, some people this may be a very long time ago, but at one time in your past, you decided to take this body. You were out there floating around, you didn't have a body, and you said, I want that body, I want those parents, I want those siblings, and you made that choice. And God said, cool, right on. Said, I'll help you with that. And God gave us spirit guides, family, and Jesus, Mary. And so we came here with a lot of help. So what I want to do, I'm going to go into a meditation because I want you to kind of incorporate this idea that you are divine and you are love. And so if you can just, you might want to, before we start meditation, I don't know if you feel like you need to stretch or turn off your phone, and Janice is going to get the lights for us. And so just take a deep breath. Breathing is really important, otherwise you get real spiritual really fast. Yes, if you stop breathing. So just notice how it feels. Just enjoy sitting in your chair. Settle in. Notice how good it feels to be here. What a safe place this is to be here. And just take a deep breath and notice yourself relaxing into your chair. And imagine being in a room in the center of your head. And in that room, this is your control room for your body. And you can create it however you want. You could make it big fluffy chairs and couches and pillows. You could decorate it with plants or crystals. Or you could make it like a control room, like in a spaceship. If you have a hard time finding that place, sometimes I tap my forehead just to remind, be behind that spot, behind your eyes, and just notice how good that feels. And from here, you can imagine a connection to the center of the planet, a kind of a grounding to the center of the planet. It goes from the base of your spine. And it works kind of like a grounding in your house. And you don't have to figure out how it works. I don't know how the grounding in my house works, but it does. And we're just going to let your body notice how good that feels, and any kind of negative energy or any negative feelings that you have, or anything that's not yours, just let that go. And it can just go down your grounding. Just notice how good that feels for your body, how safe it feels. Feeling Mother Earth. And imagine a bubble around you, maybe about 12 to 18 inches. And it doesn't matter if your bubble is bumping up against the person next to you, because this is just an energy field. It's neutral to the other person. This is your bubble. And you can decorate your bubble too. You can make the outside of it any color you want. You could make it shiny. You could make it have a texture. You could picture it like a blanket, or you can picture it like an energy field. You can imagine the outside of your bubble being however you want. This is your space. It goes all the way around you, under your feet. And just breathe. Take a deep breath. the breathing, I've been told that it helps to clear the vagus nerve, which then kind of resets your energy, your nervous system. So just see how that feels when you take a breath. Your whole body is just enjoying how good this feels. So you're in the center of your head. You got a nice grounding to the center of the planet. You're in your bubble. Today, present time is January 28th, 2024. And I want you to notice, picture, and you can do this however feels comfortable for you, but picture a lifetime, a lifeline that is the whole length of your life, timeline, back to when you were born. You were so excited when you chose to take this body. What a gift. And just send a hello down that line, that timeline to when you were born. Say hello, congratulations, happy birthday to yourself. And notice how good that feels in your body today. Okay, now I want you to say hello to yourself when you were born and say, I love you. And send that I love you all the way back to when you were born. All the way down your timeline, from present time to the day you were born. And just notice how that feels. For you to say I love you to yourself, that's pretty powerful. And you can just sit and wallow in this energy of loving yourself. This is that energy of when you were born. That divine energy. There's no judgment. This special gift is your life. And I want you to be aware from this space that you have always loved yourself. You loved yourself from before you were born. You picked this body. You were in a space of love when you picked this body and when you were born. And you've always loved this body. And the really cool thing about these kind of meditations is that you can do this anytime. If you start to feel funky about your space, you can sit down and you can say hello to yourself all the way back to when you were born and remind yourself that you love yourself. And say, I love you, back to the time you were born. And the really cool thing is from this place, January 28th, 2024, notice that you're getting I love yous from your future self. Isn't that like just really cool? You have always loved yourself. You always will love yourself. You will love yourself until your last breath. You will love yourself after your last breath. You will be so grateful for the life that you had here. You will realize and be aware that this was such a gift from God to have this lifetime and have this body. All the things that you learned and experienced and the family and friends and the love you had in your life. There's no such thing as not loving yourself. This is unconditional love for you. So just take a deep breath and let that soak in. Imagine yourself being a magnet. I want you to call all your energy back. Kind of been traveling up and down your timeline, your lifeline. So just come back into present time. It's January 28th, 2024. I had to write it down. It's easy to forget. And call back any energy that you may have left scattered. Anything you want back. You let go of stuff you didn't want to have. Now it's time to call back any energy you want back in your space. And just bring that into your bubble and into your body. And breathe. And when you feel comfortable, just go ahead and stretch and open your eyes. You're still here? January 28th? Janice, can you turn the lights back on? We lost Phil, I think. There you are. Oh, you guys look also bright and shiny. Does anybody have any comments or questions? How did that go for you guys? I don't know where the microphone went. Did you want? Sure. Did you want to start, Janice? How was that for you?
Sure. So for me, that was really awesome. I had forgotten. And when I went back to talk to my baby self, I realized how much excitement I had, the enthusiasm I had. I was like, oh, I got some way cool things to show you. We're going to do this way cool stuff, and we're going to do that cool stuff. And so then when you had the future person come and talk to us, they had that same excitement for me now. So it was very cool. It was
That's
very cool.
very
I really
cool.
enjoyed that. I needed that.
Thank you. Beth?
Yes, that was so great. What a unique way to get to the self-love. And I just was in that control room, and it was almost like the movie screen was my life that I was able to work with. And it was very nice. But when you had that switch, it was like I became my future self looking at me now, and it was it's just really powerful, that ability for my future self to maybe love me more than I can love myself right now. And that was really impactful for me. So thank you. Yeah.
When I get in my head, if somebody were to ask me, do you love yourself? I'd be like, But if I sit and I meditate and I can find that space and realize, I'm a divine being, it's a whole different thing, yes.
Well, and that future self saw me from my current self from a different perspective. So when you get to call things back in, I call back in those things that the future self could see.
Very cool. Anybody else?
When we went to our newborn self, sat there for a while, all of a sudden this blue light just went along my lifeline all the way back and hit me in the heart like a shock.
Wow. And what did that feel like? Where do you think that was?
Well, it was pretty powerful, definitely pretty powerful, but I don't understand it.
So it came from the past?
Yeah,
From now to your self?
From when I was born to here.
To here?
This here and now.
I think that was you. That was some of your energy coming back. Did it feel good for you?
Oh, of course.
Oh, well, there you go. That was you. Anybody else? Everybody's quiet today. Was that too much?
No, it was good, wonderful.
One more.
I just want to say thank you, because it was so wonderful listening to your voice. I went somewhere else, and you called us back when I came back to it. What happened? So just want to thank you very much.
You're welcome. You know, I do that all the time with Janice's meditations. Not all the time, but about 90% of the time is she'll have us, get in that space, and then we're going to go on a journey. And then the next thing I know, she goes, "Okay, everybody," and then starts asking questions. But you still get the information, and that's what's really cool is that even though your brain may have switched off, you still hear it. You're still hearing the words, and you're still getting that energy and the information. And I think, did you ready to switch?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. You guys are so fun.
We'll have to do this again.
Actually, I would like to do the loving one another sometime.
All right, we could do that. We need that one too. She escaped the. Okay, Mr. Philp, you want to? Oh, there you are. There you are.
I am here.
Communion.
We were at home, of course, last Sunday doing this, and we were using, what were we using? Not
Cran grape juice.
Cran grape juice.
Because that's all we had.
But then after service, she says, we could have actually just done real wine.
Never occurred to me. Join us in prayer if you would, please. Loving Spirit of light, thank you for loving us. Thank you for helping us remember to love ourselves. Walk with us in this journey of self-discovery and help us to be the light that we are. Thank you. In the name of Jesus, the Ascended One. Amen.
Amen.
Promise.
Yeah, if any of you remember during COVID, we had just gotten Delilah, and she was always either squeaking a toy or chewing a bone, anything we could do to keep her busy and out of the way. And this time she just sat right next to us the whole time. This was a good girl.
She's almost 5. It's about time. Join us in prayer again, would you please?
And lots of training.
Yes, lots of building. Loving Spirit of light, as we drink this in, help us to drink in our own divinity. And help us to drink in the love that we are, and help us to share that. Help us to be a light and a joy. These things we pray in the name of Jesus, the Ascended One. Amen.
Amen. Off subject, but speaking of Delilah
We're
and
always off
training,
subject.
the training was not just me, even though I've had dogs my entire life. Never had a problem training them until this one. And we've had professional trainers help us, and I mean, zero luck. Sit means sit. This is a plug for them, definitely. That worked, and they were awesome. Good people, not cheap, but it worked.
Work for her. Whatever
Worked for her.
works. We're all so different. Even critters are different.
So now she's the dog we always wanted. Oh well. Any volunteer? Or not? Okay, fine.
Before I forget, Beth just reminded me that after services next Sunday, we're going to do the opportunity where you can pull cards and see your divine purpose, your role, and your blessing. So next week, we'll do that.
Cool.
So anybody
Right.
want to do the
So,
contribution?
thank you so much. Can't do it without you. Wouldn't do it without you. So, we need more roof work right now, so whatever. We always need roof work. When we moved in here, we needed roof work. We still need some more roof work. But thank you so much. Yes?
Let's do an energy circuit for the folks online, and then we'll wrap up. We'll do our energy circle. Are you ready for that? Okay. So, folks online.
Why is Mary Lou right here?
Oh, yes. I thought I already talked about that.
Good.
Mary Lou, yay! It's her first time back for a while. Thank you. Well, she's here to help us sign up for our expo. Again, expo's just around the corner, just a few weeks away, actually.
So if you want to help out the expo, go talk to her so she can get all your information.
Go for it. All right. So, folks online, excuse me, rub hands together really, really, really fast. You're connected into Divine Source. Bring that into your heart space. From your heart space to your left hand to right hand, and back to your heart space. This connects a circuit, and then energy will begin to build between your hands. This is not your energy. This is divine energy. This is sacred energy. That's eternal energy. There is no limit to it. So allow that to build and know that this is here for you. You may have a sense of the feeling of it, or you may sense a color, whatever. But this is what is here for you for right now, what you need in your life at this moment. So bring that into your heart space. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, let's circle up.